Peace and love to you all. We will discuss now the slide presentation, Kissing the Butterfly, Capturing Your Thesis Statement. Congratulations, you're at the University of Chicago, which is a great institution and one of the best places to sit back and learn and fill your brain up with new ideas, especially to focus in your field. Many of the people who are watching this video are masters, post-grad individuals who are really interested in going deep and transforming the world in whatever field you find yourself to be in at the University of Chicago. And that's fantastic. While in these hallowed halls, you will stand on the shoulders of giants, the great thinkers that informed your fields. Of course, you will work together closely with your colleagues and act as good faith actors to grow together in your field. And that's fantastic. But if academia were only about sitting back and learning and being good colleagues, well, we wouldn't do anything transformative. We wouldn't change the world. But the point of academia ultimately is to affect the greater world in which we live. And specifically to produce new knowledge. And so if you've ever heard of the concept of knowledge production, well, that is fundamentally where you find yourself. You are in the realm, you are in the land, you are in the factory of new knowledge. And again, if we could just sit back and learn, that'd be fantastic. But no, you need to produce new knowledge. And how do you need to produce new knowledge? Well, the most effective way for us to convey ideas is, of course, by writing them down and conveying those ideas to our audience. So you must write and convey your ideas to the public, for sure. And it would be great just to the public, but of course, you definitely need to, at the very least, convey these great ideas in writing to your fellow academics in your field. Now we see the main problem. How do we write well? I mean, we want to be able to convey these great ideas. This is our career, after all. We are going to be writing published papers. We're going to be producing articles. And at the very least, even if the papers that we write for our classes are not published, they help inform our career moving forward. As we know, all of what we're doing is being watched by our advisors, is being watched by our department. So we certainly want to write well. Okay, so how do we do it? Fundamentally, how you write well is by developing a great thesis statement. And this goes across all disciplines. This can be in writing about chemistry. This can be in writing about engineering. This can be in writing about business or economics or sociology or literature. You will be needing to create a great thesis statement. And if you do, then all of your writing, your papers, your articles, everything will flow naturally as long as for every article or every paper, you have a very clear thesis statement. Okay, but what is the thesis statement? I mean, what is this thing? You know, it's really okay that you don't know, and a lot of us don't. A lot of us aren't clear about how to even produce a thesis statement. I, as an editor and as an educator, have worked closely with leaders in their fields of academia and journalism. And sometimes these great leaders who are elevated and on high, on every single board and on every single editorial committee in every field, even these individuals are not entirely clear what a thesis statement is. Let me explain. A thesis statement is the main idea you want to express in academic writing. That's it. It's your main argument. So a thesis statement is a short statement, and usually it's 1 to 3 sentences, right? And a strong thesis statement has a discernible, this is very key, discernible argument or truth. Now again, this is going to be your truth about your field of study. So for example, we see here a strong thesis statement being a student-centered classroom model is the best way to educate learners. in the student-centered structure. So teachers become supportive facilitators of learning, and students become active investigators into their own knowledge production. So we'll break down the different parts of this strong thesis statement. We see that it has usually two main parts, though there's a third that we can look at. The first part is the anchor, and this is the lead argument. And in this case, we see here the student-centered classroom model is the best way to educate learners. So the leading argument of the thesis statement is that one statement, one sentence right there. The anchor is your main argument, and this is this basically the anchor is what the thesis statement is distilled into in its purest form. The second main part of a strong thesis statement would be the scaffolding. Now, in the picture here, we see scaffolding being the metal around buildings when the workers go to work on the building, right? Now, that's the literal meaning of scaffolding. However, the metaphorical meaning, like we're using it here, would be the structure that we're telling our readers the paper or the article is gonna follow, right? So in this case, in our example, we have in this model, teachers become supportive facilitators of learning and students become active investigators into their own knowledge production. So we see in the scaffolding, or the structure of the paper or the article, we're going to see generally two structures: about teachers and who can be supportive facilitators, right? And about students here who are going to become active investigators and discussing that. The third component of a strong thesis statement is going to be context. Now, context isn't necessary always to put into a thesis statement. As you see, I actually didn't have context in our example. I added a sentence just now here on this screen where we see, as expressed by Dewey, 1916, and Robertson, 2009, democracy in the classroom is key. So we understand that the writer, at least as readers, we understand that the writer is going to discuss these two individuals. They will be the context that this writer creates his or her or their argument. Now, again, it isn't necessary always to put the context in to a thesis statement. Also, you don't always need to use a review of the literature as your context. You could, depending on your topic and depending on how familiar everyone is, at least the people in your field are, with this topic, you could use the context of current events in the field, right? And obviously current events in the field of biology is going to be very different than current events in the field of economics, right? Nonetheless, you could use context either in basically a quick review of the literature or review of the contextual events in the field. But again, let me stress this, you don't need to put it in. You don't need to force this in, because this can actually be, this context can be applied in other places of your paper or article. Well, now we know the components. We know what a thesis is made up from. But it doesn't really help us with how do we actually develop this thing. I mean, I can tell you what it looks like, but actually that's not the main emphasis of this presentation. This was just a preview. Now the main emphasis, we go into your personal process of developing your thesis statement. A thesis statement is ultimately based around a number of different things. A thesis statement will be based on your observations, your senses, the research that you've done into the field, your experiences, and importantly, your mind and your gut. Now, these are two very important things, and researchers, academics, neurologists have proven to us in recent years the connection between the mind and the gut, right? And especially this is the bioflora in your gut speaking directly to your mind. So when we feel stress, we feel it in our stomach. We feel that intensity. When we feel happiness, when we feel an excess of dopamine, when we feel all of these things, we feel it in our stomach. So in many ways, the mind is how we think, and the gut is how we intuit. You definitely want to listen to your gut. You want to listen to your mind. And you want to see all of your observations, your senses, your research, and the experiences you have. And you say, well, that's all well and good, Sean David. However, again, how do I capture the thesis statement? And it's a very good question. So there's actually a specific process to look at. In many ways, this process of thesis statement writing or thesis statement development is akin to the pathway of life. It doesn't happen overnight, it takes time, but I promise that the rewards of having a strong thesis statement is that the process of writing becomes much more easy. When you know what you want to say or write, writing or saying becomes a logical process instead of an invention that you don't fully understand, right? Think of it like going into the storm as the captain of a ship that you don't even know what direction you're going in, right? If you don't have a thesis statement, you don't have a compass even for your ship. So you're battered and bashed all over by the waves. You can't go through them. You don't know what direction you're going in. However, if the thesis statement is like you have a compass on your ship in the middle of a storm. It makes sailing the ship much easier. Now, of course, there's still challenges. It's still not easy to write, but it's made much easier. The first step is to do nothing. Slow down. Be blank. Meditate. Calm down. Breathe. Exhale. Next, you want to make yourself happy with the little things. Give yourself a healthy dopamine hit. Have something sweet, but something that's healthy, like an apple. Exercise. Go for a meditative walk. Something. Do something where you're feeling happy and healthy and relaxed. Okay. Once you've relaxed and gotten into a meditative state, begin to write many ideas down. Write them all down about your topic. You don't need to give a specific thesis argument yet. We don't need that main argument. We don't need the anchor. All we need is for you to start writing. Just idea after idea after idea. Give yourself 15 minutes. Give yourself an hour. Give yourself half an hour. And just write. Close your eyes. Start to write. Whatever comes out. And by the way, you don't need to write necessarily in English. If your first language is a different language, or not even a different language, but you want to use a third or fourth language, and you want to just put different ideas down, let those ideas flow out. Don't worry about the organization or the structure of anything. Give yourself this space to start to write and write and write. As you write and write and write and write, eventually you will develop yourself into a spinning brainstorm. Woo, 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 woo. All these new ideas are coming to you all at once. It's a passionate torrent of ideas flowing down, and you're writing and you're writing and you're writing. You're getting it all out. Let it all come out. Like a waterfall, fall in. Let the water fall. Let it all come out. You've written it all. You've got it all out. You've written out all these ideas. Okay. And that's just about it. You've done everything you can do in terms of new ideas, or just ideas in general, any idea in any language about the field, about the topic. It maybe took you 3 days, maybe it took you 3 weeks, maybe it took you 3 hours, maybe it took you 30 minutes. I don't know. But the point is you got it all out. And you know there's not much left. Okay. Now what I want you to do is separate the ideas and put them on separate pieces of paper. Okay. And just write them out. Just get them there. Now, again, you do not have a thesis statement yet. You just have a bunch of ideas. But you've got all the ideas out that you've had. Good, bad, negative, unhelpful, helpful, everything. Everything's out about the topic, about the paper or the article you want to write. Now, I want you to take those pieces of paper. You've written it all out. And I want you to post them in a place that you can see them easily. Now, maybe you don't want to put them up on a wall. You could do that. You could put them on a table, or you could put them digitally on a Padlet. And a Padlet is it's an online resource where you can put different ideas and you can look at those ideas. Now you have out all of the ideas and you've written them out. Now what you're able to do, and you can give yourself, for example, well, you can give yourself hours, days, or weeks, depending on how long you have to write this article or to write this paper. I want you to be able to look at the ideas, all of them, collectively, all the ideas in front of you. Or, again, if you use a Padlet, you can look at it right on your phone. But the point is, or on your laptop, you need to put them up in a space where you see everything. And this is a process that we see, is what oftentimes is called seeing the forest, right? I want you to see the forest. I don't want you to focus too much on the trees of the forest. Each piece of writing is like the tree. I want you to see the totality of the forest. Now, in this process, I want you to meditate and breathe and do nothing again. Just look. Just look. You're going to give yourself space to see where these ideas take your mind. All of these ideas together are going to gestate in the back of your subconscious. They constantly do it, especially if you're looking at it. Even if you look at it once or twice in the day for a minute only, just look, relax, and look. Just look. And somehow inside, new ideas are going to be gestating. I promise you, our brains are very active and amazing organs. We're thinking in the back of our mind about stuff, and our gut is feeling the process. Little by little, allow these ideas to begin to inform your new knowledge production. That's key. Sit with the ideas. You can even take some notes as time goes on. And then in whispers, just whispers, your ideas will tell you something, and you need to listen to those ideas. They will tell you the truth, or your truth. Now, postmodernists will say there is no such thing as the truth. Modernists likely will say there is a truth. We can go back and forth about that. I don't think it's so useful to go deep into philosophy with this. The point is, all of us have a process of truth-seeking. And especially in our disciplines, we're looking for that thing that we feel, that we know, that we can discern is true, and actually something that is new knowledge production. Something that no one has thought of exactly before. That's your job, to seek that out. Once you intuit your truth, you will write out your truth as a short sentence or a short paragraph. Again, think 1 to 3 sentences as a good length, okay? And this will be your thesis statement. And again, you'll use the anchor, you'll use the scaffolding, and you'll use maybe context. Once you have this thesis statement, as I said, the writing is always, especially good academic writing, will always be hard. It will always be a challenge, and yet, at least in this case, with the thesis statement, you know how to organize the structure of your writing. That's fundamental. That makes things so much easier. Again, the writing and the research is hard, I know. But at least you have a roadmap, a structural plan that you can follow. This thesis statement will show you how to organize your ideas and make your ideas into a structured body. That is a great piece of academic writing, an article. So, yes, I will be with you all in the upcoming workshop session. And in this session, we're going to actually be doing more. We're going to be growing more your thesis statement production work. I ask that you put on an old thesis statement from an article or a paper that maybe you felt didn't exactly turn out the way you wanted it to. Write up just that short thesis statement argument in the Google document that I'm going to share with you, and bring that with you for our upcoming workshop, where I will be honored to work with you and do some new and even more exciting things with thesis statement production. Okay, thank you all very much. See you soon. Peace and love.